when Dan asked me to do this, I suspected a trap, because the truth is you have to be very, very careful in giving advice to people on Valentine's Day. Certainly if the experience of Dr. Lazar Greenfield, who I think was the president of the American College of Surgeons, found. He produced a witty Valentine's Day newsletter article for the members of that august body, in which he suggested that human semen might have valuable psychotropic effects on the recipient, and was immediately forced to resign, despite the fact that everything he said was pretty much scientifically true. But everything, therefore, I say from now on is girt about with all manner of qualifications, and the opinions expressed are Charles Darwin's and not my own. So with that caveat out of the way, I can start. There's a debate recently in London about London taxi cabs. Now, I don't know if you've been to London, but generally the taxi cabs here work pretty well. And one of the reasons they work pretty well is that if you want to qualify for a badge as a London cabbie, you have to spend several years of training, during which time you perform tests known as the knowledge, where you are expected in those 2 years to memorise every single street within 6 miles of Charing Cross Station. Now, bear in mind, we don't have a grid system here and we don't have numbered streets. That's a bit more difficult than it would be in New York, say. Now, a lot of people have said this is absolutely completely unnecessary. It's a barrier to entry. Why on earth do we need this level of insane knowledge and this upfront cost for taxi drivers when simple sat-nav devices are readily available? And there's a certain economic logic to that point of view. The only thing you have to understand is that there may be a value to the knowledge which is actually not about the knowledge at all. By which I mean is that taxi drivers are potentially a very low-trust occupation. You are, if you think about it, cruising around. You're not fixed in any one geographical location. Your only identity is a badge number. Someone effectively has to get into a car with a complete stranger, confident in the knowledge that actually they're going to take them to their destination, not rip them off, or indeed attack them or turn into a serial killer. And so the value of the knowledge may be what economists would call a commitment device. It's an upfront cost which is proof of long-term intention. The question I have to ask you is, would you feel just as comfortable getting into a taxi late at night with a complete stranger if you knew that anybody could qualify to drive a black London taxi after 2 evenings at night school and a quick multiple choice test? My answer would be, I don't think you should be as confident to do that. The very fact that you put a large amount of upfront effort into doing this job and to qualifying is proof of the fact that you're serious about doing it. It also means you have a big sunk cost, that if acquiring your badge took 2 years of your life, you're going to be pretty reluctant to throw away that badge for the sake of ripping off an American tourist for £3.50 on a ride from Heathrow by taking them round the back route. So commitment devices, once you realise that the usual neoclassical economic assumptions of perfect information and perfect trust never exist in the real world, and particularly don't exist in the world of taxi driving, commitment devices need to be understood, and they're important. Now, there's another high-risk occupation, someone where you need an extraordinary degree of trust in their long-term intentions before you can actually embark on a journey with them, and that's a boyfriend. And so Valentine's Day is really done not so much for the value of the specific presents and treats themselves, but the value they show in terms of commitment. If you're going to embark on a journey with a man, you need to know he's there for the long haul. You need to know that he's likely to stay around after you've had a baby and maybe even look after his own child, or that he's actually willing to make some sort of deep, longer-term commitment. And there are all manner of evolutionary reasons for this. And so if you think about it, Valentine's Day is similar to the knowledge. It's where you get men to prove their long-term commitment to you through forcing them to undergo high, immediate, short-term costs. And what you notice about Valentine's Day is it is full of a lot of things that women particularly like and men hate. Buying jewellery, buying flowers, for example. Don't want to be blunt about this, but men, flowers, we can take them or leave them. I think it's fair to say on an all-male planet, the world's florists would go bankrupt pretty quickly. Okay, what's going on here? Well, you might argue from a position of pure economic rationality that Valentine's Day is in fact the worst night of the year in which to go out for a romantic meal. Restaurants are hideously overcrowded. They tend to charge a higher price to exploit that greater demand. And in any case, even if you do manage to get a seat in a restaurant, the restaurant is full of simpering couples just like yourself, which doesn't make for a brilliant atmosphere. Nonetheless, the point of this thing is once again rather like the knowledge. It's a commitment device, or sometimes called a pre-commitment device. Very, very important lesson here, and this is what a game theorist once explained to me. The very fact that females on Valentine's Day so like being bought things that men aren't very interested in. Romantic meals for two. Let's be frank, most blokes would rather go out for dinner with their rugby club than with their girlfriend, because there's always the risk of a conversation about feelings emerging, which leaves us completely hopeless. Most men aren't interested, as I said, in jewellery or flowers. That's exactly the point. It's basically a form of mild human sacrifice. So what it is you're buying your girlfriend something that she absolutely loves, which does absolutely nothing for you. So there is, as a result, no suspicion of self-interest. You are actually suffering, just as making a taxi driver learn 6 miles radius of streets is making them suffer, to prove the depth of their commitment. So frankly, don't fight it, just go with it. If you think about it, you give someone flowers, you give someone jewellery, it's patently a sacrifice. There's no suspicion that you are self-interested in your decision. By contrast, if you try buying your girlfriend a radio-controlled helicopter for Valentine's Day, my hunch would be there would be a strong whiff, a strong suspicion of self-interest in that action. So yes, the fact that men don't like it is emphatically true, but once you understand commitment devices, that's exactly the point. An engagement ring, sorry to be unromantic, same thing. Thanks very much indeed.